All right, guys. Today we got Aiemann Zahabi, ranked number 6 Bantam UFC fighter. Aiemann, thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you, my pleasure.
I told my son I was on the phone, or when I said, I'm going to get Aiemann Zahabi, he's like, Dad, you ran out. He's like, can I come on the podcast? I was like, okay.
Man, I just had to come. I have so many questions for this guy.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't believe he's right in front of me. Like, to me, like, this is crazy. But yeah.
No, I'm happy to be here, man. I love supporting Montreal
Yes.
entrepreneurs, businesses, podcasts, whatever. I think we have a great culture here, and we should push each other up to get to the mainstream. So I'm happy to be a part of it.
Thank you for coming on. And I always like to break, like before we get to where you are now, I like to share the story that people don't know.
Yeah.
Right? Everything prior to you getting into the UFC.
Yeah.
So my first question is, how old were you when you got into martial arts?
Yeah.
And were you influenced from your brother and being in Tristar? Like, what made you get into the martial arts? And at what point did you tell yourself, I really want to be a fighter? This is what I want to do.
I started training because I was going to go to high school. And I was really short. Like, I was 5 foot tall, maybe like 120 pounds. I was really small. So my dad was worried that if I'm going from elementary school to high school, I would get bullied. And my brothers were already training, so he told my brothers to train me over the summer. So when I go to high school, I can, somewhat defend myself, and people won't be able to pick on me and things like that. So I started training then. But I didn't like it at first because when I started training at Tristar back in the day, it was more of a niche thing. There wasn't many people doing MMA, Jiu-Jitsu, Muay Thai, all that stuff back in the day. So most of the guys doing the training, they were between the ages of 20 and 30, and they're all like men now. They have real size. And I was so small. I was on the other side of the spectrum. So nobody really liked training grappling with me. So my brother Frost was the one who mostly did the rolls with me. And the other guys, they would do it sometimes. So I trained a lot with my brother early on. And that was like an advantage in the sense that because my brother was fanatical about being good at technique, it made me good because I was his drilling partner. So we were doing a lot of drilling and all that. So I got really, really good very fast. And by the time I was 16, and Frost was cornering George St. Pierre, David Loiseau, Yves Jabouin, all these guys who were making it to the UFC and traveling for fighting. I started covering my brother, because you'd leave for 4 or 5 days at a time. So I started teaching the classes. And then when you teach, you actually get better because you're forced to know the techniques. You're forced to be able to explain it. So you see it from different angles. So then I started getting better even faster at a high rate. By the time I was 18, I was cornering guys in the UFC.
Already at 18.
So it was, so I was young, and because I was better than them at different facets of the game. So they would ask me to help with Faraz. So I was like their assistant. And we had a lot of guys who were bantamweight fighters or featherweights. And I was small, and those other guys were bigger, so they needed a body. I was a body for them too. And then when I was going to university, I was doing really well in university. I was at University of McGill for accounting. Okay, I was in their business school, des hôtels. And then now I started traveling so much for UFC that my grades started dipping. I told Frost, I'm like, listen, if I'm cornering these guys and now it's starting to affect my school, let me try to go pro. If I don't make it to UFC by the time I'm 30, I'll go back to school.
So so that was the plan.
That was the plan, yeah. So I was like, okay, I'm going to try to get in there before 30. And then if it doesn't work, school's not going anywhere. University is always going to be there, right? You can always get a degree and get a job.
Were your parents, did you share that with your parents?
Yeah, my parents, well, first I shared it with Frost, and Frost backed me. So then it was easier to tell my parents, But no, I asked Frost first, because if he didn't want to be behind me, then I'm not going to do it. So then, it's a good idea. And then I signed with the UFC at 29. I just made it. Just made it. And then I never looked back since.
And that's it. That
was it, man.
So you knew this is what you wanted to do? Was it because you were in that environment?
I like doing it because my brother's first plan for me was to just be a coach, because that's what he did. And there's more money in being a coach than there is being a fighter. Because the coaches are going to make money through the members and on the promoting and all this stuff, and you can do camps, and there's a lot of ways to generate funds. Whereas fighters is you're poor for a very long time. Until you're in the 1% of talent, you don't make money. I only started to make money the last couple of years. Been broke my whole life. And I feel like that's kind of what most talented fighters struggle with, is they can't endure how long it takes to break out. You see the ones
without
in a while,
guarantee.
Yeah.
You don't know.
Once in a while, there's a young guy who makes it. but it's the exception. It's not the rule.
Yeah.
The average guy doesn't make money till he's like 30 something in UFC, right? So it takes a long time. And like the way I've seen a lot of guys, quit that had a lot of talent, more talent than I had. And, I think what it comes down to is by the time you're between 27 and 30, if your friends went the school route or the trade route or the entrepreneurship route, by the time they're 27 to 30, they start making real money.
Yeah.
And you're a fighter and you're still fighting for like $1,500. It's a brutality.
Yeah.
And like the most you'll make not signed to a UFC or a PFL is $5,000. So let's say you're the champ of Samurai.
Yeah.
You're making $5,000 for the title fight. Or let's say you're the champ of like, I don't know, CFFC or something. Or another like, farmer league for the UFC or PFL or whatever. Champs to make $5,000, then they sell tickets so they can make more money. They're allowed sponsors, so you can make 10, 20 grand on sponsors, but it's not everybody.
Yeah.
So it really takes to make it to the UFC. But then when you make it to the UFC, you're making 10 and 10. It's not a lot of money because you got to pay the manager, you got to pay your coach, you got to pay your training, you got to pay your fucking food, your living. If you have a wife and kids, you got to pay.
Yeah.
So you're not making a lot of money. You got to really break out to make money. So I feel like the hardest part of the whole making it is enduring that.
I was telling him that because at one point he's like, Dad, I think I want to be a pro fighter. I want to get into it. And I'm like, I'm not discouraging him, but I'm like, it's a lot of work. It's a lot of consistency, showing up every day.
You have to love it.
Irrelevant how you feel about it. You got to go there and you got to do it. And your body takes, I don't know how it would feel. Like, I mean, watching him get in the ring and getting like, elbows and kicked in the head, I'd be like,
I mean, it's not that bad.
Yeah.
I mean, I think boxing is way worse, man.
Is it?
I mean, like,
because
10 to 15 boxers die a year on average.
I would think UFC, you're getting knees, elbows to the head. Like you're getting more.
In boxing, there's no really avoiding getting hit in the head. So like, let's say an average boxing fight of 12 rounds, you're getting hit in the head like maybe, I don't know, 200 times. The average MMA fight, the guy gets hit in the head 40 times.
Oh, I never.
If we talk averages, obviously some fights they're wars. Max Holloway one time landed 400 strikes on a guy, but that's not the average is like 60. Why? Because they can grapple. They take the guy down. They hold him up against the fence.
I guess it's when you see the elbows and the knees coming in and the soccer kicks to the head. That's when you're like,
listen, I've got soccer kicked in the head. It ain't that bad. It wasn't that bad. It wasn't great, but it wasn't that bad. I mean, I feel like in boxing, like whether you want to or not, there's no slowing the fight down to avoid getting hit in the head. Like they allow you to clinch, but very little. Like you're not clinching for 2 minutes. In MMA, you'll see a guy clinch for 2 minutes straight. Nobody's landing anything to the head. So they take much less brain damage overall, I find. Overall, much less brain damage. And you see it in the numbers. Like, it's so rare that an MMA fighter dies. I think it's only happened twice in the history of MMA that somebody died fighting. Right? It doesn't really happen. Guys don't really die from concussions and stuff in MMA. But in boxing, it happens quite a bit.
So now you get into the UFC, and what was your journey when you got in the UFC until now?
Yeah, my journey was good. It was I was happy that I got signed. I got signed at 6-0. 6-0. I finished everybody. I had 3 submissions and three TKOs/KOs.
How does that work, by the way? I have a question. How does that work to get signed into the UFC? Like, how do they?
It changes over time.
Okay.
It changes over time. Now there's a whole new system that didn't exist when I got signed. So now they have the Contender Series, right? So there was always for a long time there was just you get signed straight up. Then they came up with Ultimate Fighter. So some guys were either getting signed straight up or they were getting put through the Ultimate Fighter. And then later on they created the Contender Series. So you either got signed straight up, Ultimate Fighter, or Contender Series. And now they're really trying to push Contender Series as the way in. So they'll take a guy who's, let's say, like a champion of Samurai or a champion of CFFC or LFA or any of these other smaller leagues in North America. And before signing them directly to the UFC, they make him fight another big fish from another big organization, like like LFA versus an LFA champ versus a CFFC champ. It's gonna happen on Contender Series. Winner, if you win by like aggressive, like really nice style of fighting, Dana will offer you a contract. Boom, you're in the UFC. So that's like the new way of getting in. Me, I got signed straight up because there wasn't that at the time, and there wasn't an Ultimate Fighter happening for my weight class. Actually, the Ultimate Fighter had just finished for my weight class. So I ended up getting signed straight up to the UFC. And I fought the guy who had just won the Ultimate Fighter Bantamweight edition.
Okay.
So he had just won the Ultimate Fighter. And my first fight in UFC was against him. Yeah. And I won my first fight. Then after that, I fought a guy. His name is Ricardo Ramos. I fought him in New York City, Madison Square Garden. And like for me, it was a big hype for the fight because GSP was coming out of retirement, and GSP is my longtime training partner also. And he was the last fight on the card, and I was the first fight on the card.
Wow.
So for me, it was like a passing of the torch moment, and I was getting a lot of media attention because everyone was coming to the gym to interview George. So they're also interviewing me, and there was like this parallel we were trying to make happen. But then, as the fight was going, it was in between round 2 and 3. Frost told me, this guy doesn't have anything for you. Go for the finish. I was like, okay, but I went so hardcore on offense, I forgot all my defense. And in round 1 and round 2, every time that guy hit me, it felt like my little brother was hitting me. It felt like there was no power.
Okay.
So I became a freaking egomaniac. So I started charging him like as if he could never hurt me. And then I remember in one moment I had just pushed him against the fence, and he was like he was gonna bounce back and come, right? And I told myself, I'm one more left hook, he's done. I go to throw the left hook, I wake up, I'm in the ambulance. I got KO'd spinning elbow, boom, like one of the worst KOs ever. At the time, it was the second spinning elbow KO in UFC history. Like people had never seen it.
And that was your first fight?
Second fight. Second fight. Yeah, I won my first one, then this one. And then I lost the one after because I was worried. It's like getting into a car crash, I fought the fight after that. I felt like a shell of myself. It took like 18 months for me to come back. So I had a really bad concussion.
Oh.
And the road back was literal hell. And I developed a lot of anxiety. Like I kind of like saw the fear. So I fought in Ottawa against Vince Morales, and I couldn't open up. I couldn't take the risk. And as the fight was going, my anxiety was building more and more.
Just from that fight.
From that KO. The KO kind of messed me up mentally, right? And then I had never lost before. I had won everything before that. Then I had these doubts, and then I started looking for the answer in books. Started reading all kinds of self-help books, and in one book I read, they gave me like a nice saying. It was, I love the pain will set me free. And I just switched it to, I love the fear will set me free.
Yeah, I love
and I kept telling myself that, and now like I've embraced the fear, and ever since that I won 7 straight.
Yeah,
So
we were talking about that with my son.
Yeah. We were talking about future opponents.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I called out O'Malley, so I'm hoping we get O'Malley next.
O'Malley.
Yeah, I would love to fight him, Umar, Marab, Peter Yan, anybody ahead of me. Like,
Yeah.
it'd be a dream come true. Be really, really nice.
And so how do you manage, because that's a common question, and I was talking with my son, how do you manage fear or your anxiety before you get in the ring?
Yeah, there's a lot of different ways out there, right? So you have to find the way that works best for you.
But you are you afraid? Like, are you anxious? What are you feeling prior?
Well, before the KO loss, I was never afraid of anything. And then after the KO loss, I was being eaten alive by anxiety. And then now I'm like, I'm done with it, which is nice. I'm on the other side of it. And before my Pedro Munoz fight, so I had won 4 in a row. And the thing is, like, I didn't have a system to deal with emotions, because emotions are, it's like anything. It's like fire, like a fire, you can use it to cook food. It can burn you, right? It can burn your house down. It's the same thing with emotions. Emotions can be, a great weapon, or they can eat you alive. So I needed a system to kind of like have no doubt that when I go fight, I'm going to perform at my best. So one of my good friends, Jordan Deichler, he's a manager. He manages some fighters, and one of the guys he manages, is a guy who's like the BKFC champion. His name is Kai, and he was working with a mindset coach. And so Jordan's like, hey, one of my clients works with a mindset coach. Would you want to work with him? Whatever, blah blah blah. I'm like, okay, set up a meeting, and I'll talk to him. I'll see what he offers. And so this guy, his name is Mike Moore, Mindset Mike. He basically has a system that he takes you through a program during your training camp to help you so that that when you go on fight night, your emotions are channeled so that they're used as a benefit and they're not used against you.
Yeah.
So he has a really good system. Like the way my brother has a system to teach jiu-jitsu, or like a boxing coach has a system to teach boxing. He has a system to make sure that your head is on right for the night. you know. So I've been using him ever since the Pedro Munoz fight, and I'm really happy I had him because let's say when I fought Aldo, I got into some hot water. You know, he rocked me with a right and hit me with a knee, drops me as I was getting up. He soccer kicked me. He came
Oh, I
to give me
saw
the
that
finishing
was-
blow, and like my self talk in the fight really carried me through the moments.
Self-talk, like what do you
Yeah, so
what
like
do
when
you
I got
say, or what did you say at
I
that
was just telling
moment?
myself, I was just telling myself, just keep doing the work, keep doing the work, and win the next exchange. Win the next exchange after that. Win the next 15 seconds. Then win the next 15 seconds.
That's a good.
I ended up winning the next 3 minutes. Like after I got out of that hell, I ended up turning the tide on Aldo, and it was beautiful for me, and I was proud. Was that when I got out of the hell, I stayed very composed.
Yeah.
And when I was putting him through the hell, he could not compose himself. He fell apart physically, mentally. You know, he withered, his body withered, he became weak. He started, you know, trying to hold on, stalling for time, putting his fingers in my gloves. Like he couldn't climb out of his hole, you know.
He was looking at the clock.
yeah,
He's just
yeah.
like full of blood.
Even at one point when I
crazy.
elbowed him and I cut him open, he was just looking at me like couldn't get out. So like
You took him
it was
complete by
took- yeah,
surprise,
took
you
him out.
think?
I
Not
think
surprised,
he
but
gave
you-
everything he had,
Yeah.
and he was in shock that I survived. It,
Yeah.
you know, and it's funny, but it comes out to like Rocky when he says, "It's not how much you can give; it's how much you can take." You know, and it's really a valid point. You know, and I feel like, you know, MMA fighting in general, it's beautiful because it takes the three facets of the human experience, right? So, you know, you have to be intelligent, strategic. You have
Yeah.
to have tactics to fight. So you have to train your mind. You have to have strong physicality because, like, if I wasn't trained to be at my optimal shape, I wouldn't have survived the onslaught. And you have to have strong spirit. You have to believe, right? So it's all the facets of the human experience. And in my last couple of fights, like, I really used them all. You know, so when you win and having to use all of that, like, there's a high that you cannot mimic.
Mm.
So you know, like I was I did a podcast the other day, and the guy asked me, he's like, "What advice would you give like young kids who or whatever who listen to the podcast?" I said, well, in life, no matter what you do, there's gonna be suffering, but it is misery if it's a suffering you don't choose, you know. But me, I love to fight, so the hell of training camp, not misery for me. I love it. So you're gonna suffer no matter what you choose.
Yeah.
Pick something you enjoy suffering in, and then the reward it's very appreciated. It's like when you win after the hell. And like I was high for a month after the Aldo win, but I trained like a dog. That the fight was huge pain, but I'm so happy after. So I'd rather pick my hell.
Yeah.
You know. So it's like don't do something just because you make money. And it's like that's my advice for guys who want to go into fighting. Don't come in the game for money because
There's no money. Like you're.
there's
like,
no money, man.
There's a
Unless
small
you make
percentage
it,
that
unless
are
you
gonna.
really make it to the very end,
Yeah.
then there's money. So yeah, pick something you like to do because whatever you choose is going to be pain.
And now you're what, on a 7 streak?
7 fight win streak.
Seven.
Yeah.
How does that feel?
Feels great. It feels good. I'm so happy because like
What do you think is the cause? Do you think there's a cause of that? Did you look back and say, okay, why am I on this winning streak? Is there something that I did differently? Is it my mindset that's changed? Am I training harder?
I feel like for me it was
More experienced?
patience. You know, like you know, I believe that God rewards patience. You know, being able to endure. And a lot of guys, you know, when they get their first really bad knockout, their first big embarrassing performance, they can never make it back. You know, and like a lot of people and the media were eating me up when I had my 2 losses in a row. Everyone was counting me out. Basically, I'm done. And really just like
How do you handle that, by
shit-talking
the
me.
way?
It
How
was
do you-
really hard. You know, it's you know, like I try not to be emotional about it. So I just try to put my blinders on and just do the work because in the end, what people say and what people think don't fight for my opponents.
Good point.
My opponent, he has to fight for himself. So their opinions don't fight. My skills, my heart, my mindset, that's what
point.
fights for me. And on the other side, it's the guy. Doesn't matter what anybody thinks. You know, one time I was fighting during this winning streak, I was fighting a guy and he was 15-0. He had never lost. And I was fighting him and he was a minus 950 favorite. I was plus 650. and nobody thought I was gonna win. Nobody thought I was gonna win, and I ended up beating him. And ended up being the 9th largest upset in UFC history. You know, so it's just like it doesn't matter what anybody thinks.
Yeah, good
It
point.
doesn't matter. In the end, I have to fight the guy, and the guy has to fight me. So that's kind of like how I got over it all. And I feel like really the key to my success is I just put my head down and I just do the work every day. I show up every single day to the gym, and I don't get deterred. And when I was on my winning streak, and after I beat that guy, then the media started loving me. They started treating me so nice. And I remember I left the press conference for the Pedro Munoz fight, and I was like, I can't if I can't believe them when they talk trash about me when I'm losing, and they can't see how good I really am when I'm down. How can they see how good I am when I'm up? They can't see me either way. So what the hell do they know? You know. So I only take solace in the opinions of like the other coaches, you know, and the other fighters, respectable fighters, respectable coaches, and like they all compliment me. You know, they all like my style. They all appreciate my strategy, my tactics, my approach to fighting. So I think that carries more value than the casual or the media. Most of these journalists, there's no barrier to entry to become a journalist in MMA. You know, you just start writing about it. The vast majority of the MMA journalists didn't go to school. You know,
I've seen a few. They're just like random people.
And I find it so funny because like now, like I work for Sportsnet. I do the coverage for Sportsnet, and the UFC treats media so good. Like every time you go to interview fighters at the UFC, it's catered, man. There's coffee, there's donuts, there's food. They always make sure there's a green room at the events. They're treated like gold, but yet a lot of these media guys, they talk trash about UFC. So I find it's like a very funny thing. Like, and they make fun of the fighters. Like you have a job because there's something to talk about.
Yeah,
you know?
for sure.
I just find it so funny how brutal they are when fighters lose, and how much they suck up to them when they win. So I just try not to hold their opinion.
The other thing we're talking with my son, because he wanted to go to UFC in Montreal, because we talked about it before. And when I saw the price of the tickets, I was like, they were so expensive.
It was like $360 for like the back of the back of the back.
It's crazy.
But you know what I find crazy is that some front seats are like $16,000, like crazy number. Like even more than what UFC fighters are getting paid, right? Which is to me it's crazy. Right? And I don't understand that pay gap between boxing and MMA. And it's so weird to me because MMA so, like it's more of a complete sport. So why do you think that there's such a big pay gap, and why are things so like expensive in the UFC?
Well, UFC, no, it depends where they go and what type of fight it is. So basically, like let's say for example the Montreal card, it was expensive because it was 2 title fights on the card and it was a pay-per-view. So those are like marquee events. So if that fight was happening in Miami, it'd be the same. Or if it was happening somewhere else, the tickets are gonna be expensive because you got 2 different belts on the line. And it was the same thing when it was UFC Toronto. When they had the 2 belts, the tickets were crazy.
So that's how they
that's how they do it for when they have a 2 title fight show that's a pay-per-view. They charge a lot, right? Because you're getting big value. And so that's how they justify it. Listen, I don't know if like you know, they still sold 19,000 tickets out of 22,000, right?
They
almost sold the place out. So as expensive as it was, they were close to hitting it right on the head. You know, and they made a lot of money. I think they had the largest gate outside of a hockey game ever in Montreal. On that UFC. So they made a lot of money for the venue too. So it's pretty crazy. And it was interesting because I get, when I sign for a fight, I get the pre-sale for friends and family. So I sent the link out to my friends and family, and a lot of them were like, no, we're going to buy it closer to the event. And then when they saw the price on the pre-sale, they didn't buy because they thought, oh, okay, it would be close to that. No, bro, it was like literally triple the price after when they go to the market. Friends and family get a great discount. So a lot of people regretted it after they didn't come.
Well, that's why I felt bad. I told my son, no, we're going to UFC. Don't worry, book the tickets. He goes, Dad, they're $500 each. I'm like, what, $1,000? I'm like, screw it, we're not going. Watch it on TV.
But let's say when we had the UFC in Vancouver, it was a fight night. There was no title fight. It was much cheaper. It was so like it was I think it was like $600 in front row or something like that. It was super cheap.
The other thing that shocked me is that you look at what boxers make comparing to what UFC.
Yeah, I was gonna
fighters
get to
make.
that. He asked it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but basically, it's totally different business structure. So basically, the UFC owns the promotion, right? So they're paying us, and the boxers, they can own the rights to the promotion. It's like Mayweather owned the rights to the show. Like Mayweather, he was getting a piece of all the ticket sales. He was getting a piece of every hot dog or Coke or
No
beer
way.
sold in the arena.
I thought it just
And
the promotion
he's
meant
hiring the sanctioning body of WBC, WBO, IBF, right? So that's like a separate thing. They don't own the show, whereas UFC owns
the show.
UFC. They own the belt. They own that, all of that. So they're the ones making. So like, let's say there's sponsorship in the ring for
Yeah.
a Mayweather fight, and Mayweather owns the promotion. Mayweather is getting that, the piece of
And
that
in UFC,
sponsorship.
UFC
No,
no.
the UFC is getting the sponsorship.
Yeah.
The fighters are not getting the sponsorship.
So the fighters
So it's a
only
different,
get
totally different
their
business
salary.
structure.
You only get your salary.
We're getting paid a salary. No, it's not a salary. We're independent contractors.
Independent
So
contractors,
it's completely
yeah.
different
Yeah.
too, right? So
But you
we're
get
not
paid
employees.
X amount, but
Yeah.
you don't get promotions. You don't get like.
So
spon-
before we used to be allowed to get sponsors, but then when they did the Reebok deal, they kind of removed that sponsor element because they all wanted us wearing the same clothes, and so it kind of like made for a new business model. So if I get sponsors now, so guys have to, the companies would sponsor me based on my social media now, not based on me wearing anything. And before we used to have like a banner. Remember we used to drape a banner behind the fighter when they were announcing names?
yes.
So people were able to sponsor us and they would get their thing on TV, but now we can't put any of that stuff. So kind of like, hinders how much we could make. But for the UFC, they're making bank, man. They
that's-
sell everything. They even sell. It was funny because like people started realizing, but you know, like in the octagon, there's a black outline of an octagon on the mat. And now you can buy for $2,000. You can put your name in the octagon, and when the event's over, they cut that piece of the mat out and they send it to you in a frame with a picture of the main event, and like you can have this for $2,000. You know, so like they
Everything.
sell every little piece of everything, man. Like they're making the UFC is brilliant for making money, definitely.
But like I said, it feels like the fighters don't make enough for what they. Is it me?
Yeah,
Is,
listen,
is there
I
a
mean,
big
compared to
gap for what they make to what they get paid?
Well, the UFC, you know, they keep the vast majority of the money for sure, and you know, like NBA, NFL, and those major leagues. I think the split between owners and not fighters, but athletes,
Players,
it's
yeah.
almost like 50-50. Maybe
Okay.
not exactly 50-50, maybe 52-48, but it's
Yeah.
somewhere around, it's very close to 50-50. Whereas I think the UFC distribution, I think the fighters split 14% or something like that.
That's crazy.
Yeah, listen, it is what it is, man. It's a uphill battle for us. No, that's why it's like I think you shouldn't do it for the money. And like their champions get paid. Like I don't hear any champion really complaining. You know?
Yeah.
So like I'm not there yet, so I can't really talk about that. But I'm like getting close to finding out. Getting close to
That
finding
must
out.
feel good.
Yeah, it's like well, I'm almost there, man. I'm almost there, and then
you
I'm
paid your
excited.
dues. It's like now's the time.
It's like yeah. But supposedly there's like a huge contrast between when you're a champion and when you're a fighter, right? So that's what Dana says. So like I haven't gotten there yet, so I don't really know.
What's the steps for you to get there?
So if Merab would have won his last fight, it could have been next because he had beaten everybody. There was nobody between me and him that he hadn't beaten. So if he would have beaten Peter Yan, we were really pushing for me to get the fight. But then because he lost to Peter Yan hasn't beaten everyone between 1 and 5. So I'm not next. So basically, I have to fight one more. So that's why I call out Sean O'Malley. Because I was like, you know what? If I beat Sean O'Malley, how can they deny me getting a belt? He already beat Peter Yan. If I beat O'Malley, it's like, okay. Like, I have like a reason to fight him. You know? So that's kind of why I want to go for Sean O'Malley. It gives me the most credibility.
Yeah.
Because now they might, I think they're most likely going to give Merab the rematch. Because Merab was a really good champion for them in terms of like he defended the title 3 times. And he was trying to break the record of most title defenses in a year. So I feel like they're going to reward him for taking the risks that he took. So, you know, if Peter Yan beats Merab, he's probably going to fight O'Malley or me next, I think. Because O'Malley beat him already, so there's a story there.
Yeah.
If O'Malley's not willing to wait, then he wants to fight before, because now Peter Yan had surgery, he had a back surgery, so we don't know when he's going to fight. So if I get a chance to fight Sean, I think it's the clearest path to the title.
No?
Well, uh, question. I had this question I've always wanted to
Yeah,
ask
tell me.
you, but I think we went over it. But
Yeah.
you know, so I follow like a lot of the UFC. You know, I look at comment sections, and every time I see you, you know, you're always smiling. You always look so happy to be there. And then sometimes I go in the comments and there's like a lot of controversy about uh he robbed Marlon, he
Yeah.
robbed this, and you know, I started posting on social media,
Okay.
and sometimes I see like hate, and it
Yeah.
really gets to me. And I know my dad also gets some hate, so
Yeah. Yeah.
I just want to know, like, how does Aiemann Zahabi,
Yeah.
like, does it get to you? Did like
Most of the time, it doesn't bother me so much because I feel like they're just a bunch of losers who are just trying to get a
Yeah.
rile out of you. But sometimes, like if I see like a hate comment and the account is actually somebody, that kind of annoys me. Like if the
Somebody
guy,
like another fighter.
like a
you're
guy who has a
talking?
life.
Okay.
You know, it bothers me. And there was this one guy who's like he's a Montrealer, and he's not just some troll account who has no
Yeah.
followers and stuff. He has like friends and family on this thing, and he's like, "Oh, I'm a Montrealer and I can't stand Zahabi," but he follows me. Yeah, I know he follows me
Yeah.
because when I went on his profile, it says follow back,
Yeah.
right? So at first I'm nice to him. I'm like, "Hey, bro, I'm like, listen, I'm a Montrealer. You're a Montrealer. You know, it'd be better if you get behind me. You know, like okay,
Yeah.
you don't like things. You know, why don't you just not say anything? Stay
So,
out of
yeah,
it.
you don't
know?
like me. I just, yeah.
Then he's like, no. And he starts calling me a phony. I said, oh, okay. I'm like, listen, Montreal's a small place. I can find you like that.
Yeah.
yeah.
Then he starts writing, oh, are you threatening me and my family? I live with my parents. I'm like, bro, I didn't threaten you, but I'm just telling you, it's a small place now. Like, it's not easy for me. It's not hard for me to find you. Plus,
Yeah.
in the gym, like if in Montreal, you know everyone with 6 people in between.
Yeah.
I know somebody who knows somebody who knows somebody who knows somebody. By the 6th person, I know I found
Yeah,
you.
absolutely.
And then having Tristar, it's less than 6. Because we get all kinds of people from all the boroughs of Montreal that come to train with us, right? So one of my students knows somebody that knows this guy. And it's going to be less than 6 degrees of separation.
Yeah.
So like we can find basically anybody in the city. So that's kind of just what I was telling him is like, you think I'm never going to bump into you, but if you're a Montrealer, bro, I'm going to bump into you. I'm going to work. It's easy for us to find. So I didn't mean it as a threat that I'm going to be violent towards him, but it's like, it's a small place. Wouldn't you rather be supporting me or just stay out of it?
Yeah, stay out of it. Good
Stay
point.
out of it, man. So like people like that who are like actually from around here, I find that kind of super weird.
Yeah.
And there was this one other kid, he was a young kid and he was an amateur boxer and he had a losing record. And he was spreading on one of my posts how I can't box and stuff. And I went and I looked at his fights. I'm like, bro, you stink. and like, listen, there was a time if you would have come to Tristar, I could have been your teacher. Now you come to Tristar, there's no way you're allowed to walk in here. Think about that. You're 16 years old. You want to be a professional boxer. This is what I'm looking at his social media. That's how I'm deducing that. I'm like, now you can never come to the best place. Think about it. I don't want you to come. You can't come. They starts backtracking. I'm like, oh, now it's important.
Interesting. And when you
Now it's
challenge them a little
important. Now
bit,
it's important.
you're
But
right.
I don't challenge the guys who don't have accounts.
Yeah.
They have. I mean, obviously they have an account, but they don't post anything. They're using it to talk shit.
Yeah.
That's obviously that's like you're never gonna be able to convince them.
Yeah.
But somebody who's a human, who's trying to be a human online, those guys, I'll challenge them. I'll be like, hey, bro, what do you think? Imagine you had this path that you could have come here and me and Faraz could be in your corner. No, forget it, bro.
Yeah.
You'll never make it through this route. You have to find another route now. And there are not so many routes as giving as us. Us, we're very giving. Like if you come to TriStar, I'm going to start a new YouTube series on like, I want to call it like, so you can be an ultimate fighter. Like I'm plugging my thing now, but
Yeah,
it
go
doesn't
ahead,
even
man.
exist
Plug
yet,
it in,
but
of course. But I think
I wanted to give
wanna hear
advice
about
to
it.
fighters on like how to approach what it's going to take to be a fighter, like to actually make it. I'm going to give real advice, you know? And
I think that's important because the younger generation always sees the end result, but doesn't see the journey.
they don't understand what it really
And
takes.
once you look at the journey, I tell people if you put on if I watch the videotape of you, your whole, at what point would you quit? You just, sometimes the ones who make it are not because they're necessarily always the talented, the most smartest. They're the ones who just grind it no matter what. They just don't give up. They don't stop.
Yeah, and it's good. Like when I was getting ready for my fight after my 2 losses in a row, it was during the pandemic, okay, and it was gonna be in we're gonna be fighting in the bubble, so I got to go to the UFC early, and we got to do all the getting tested and all that stuff and whatever, and so I had my kids at home, And I had just lost 2 in a row. And those 2 fights in a row, I made such little money because you get paid to show and you get paid to win. So I got only half my purse for 2 fights in a row. And those 2 losses lasted 3 years.
And when you have a family and kids,
family is hell.
You're like,
it's rough, bro. So like, and then my wife, during COVID, she lost her estimator. Her father owns like a body shop to like repair cars. And so she needed to become an estimator. So she was doing night classes. So I was at home with the kids. I had twin girls. Okay. So I was at home with the kids all day. And I would put them to bed like for their nap time. And I would train in my driveway in my condo building. And people must have thought I was crazy. It's like winter time. I'm doing calisthenics in the driveway. Then I would finish my workout, get inside the house before my daughters wake up. I'd shower. I'd wake them up. I'd feed them lunch. And I'd hang out with them until 5:30. My wife would come home at 5:30. And her night class started at 6, from 6 to 9. So I would go straight to the gym to train. And she was doing a night class for 2 months from 6 to 9 during my whole training camp. And like during that training camp, we were trying to buy a house because we had a condo. And now the kids are getting older. So I bought a house 2 weeks before my fight. And I didn't even go see the house. My wife went to go see the house because I had to go train. So my wife liked the house. So I bought the house. I signed for the house. I didn't even visit it. I'm like, I'll deal with this after the fight. I go to my fight. I go to the weigh-ins, and I go in at 8:30 because if you get there early, they weigh you in order of who showed up. And then my opponent comes at the same time as me, and I weigh in, I make weight. He weighs in and missed weight by 4.5 pounds. Okay, 4.5 pounds is huge.
Yeah.
Okay? 1 pound, half a pound is no brainer. I take 20%. I fight. I don't even argue. But 4.5 pounds is like, no, you screwed me over here. It's a big deal. And it's the last fight on my contract, and I had just lost 2 in a row. If I lose this fight, I'm fired.
So you're fired if
you're fired. Yeah, if you lose 3 in a row, you're toast in the UFC.
Oh wow.
So the matchmaker comes to me. He's like, he's not gonna cut weight. I'm like, what do you mean? He's 27. I'm 34, bro. 35 years old. I'm like, tell him to go back and cut weight. I don't care. He's like, no, he's not gonna do it. You want the fight? I'm like, bro. I'm like, Sean. I'm like, if I lose this fight, I'm out. Like, I just lost 2 in a row. He's like, okay, how about this? How about I double your pay? So if you lose, it's like you won. And if you win, you quadrupled your money. I'm like, okay, great. And he's like, if you lose, I guarantee you one more chance to prove yourself. Like, I won't fire you.
Right.
Okay?
Makes sense.
So I said, okay, I signed the contract. I'm like, hell yeah, I'll take more money. You know, I just bought a house and I just went through 2-3 years of hell. And then I start rehydrating and I start throwing up. So they send an ambulance. I'm like, no, I have to fight. I have to fight. They check me. I'm okay. I go to the fight. Boom, I knock the guy out in the first round. And then I'm waiting for 4 hours for the event to finish. They announce I win the 50 G's. So I left there with like $100,000. I called my wife. I'm like, oh, babe, we just won the performance of the night. We made 50 G's. She's like, oh my God, we can redo the kitchen. I'm like, I'm very busy. I gotta go. Bye. I hang up the phone.
She's already got a plan.
She already spent the money, man. I couldn't even believe it. So anyways, I came home. We redid the kitchen, spent 50 G's, but it's a very nice kitchen. Like, you guys should check it out. You know what I tell guys too?
You're like, you know what I had to do for this kitchen?
Yeah, it's like, but I tell guys, you know what's funny is that like in life, there's no real balance. So like when I'm in training camp, my wife sacrifices, like, and my kids sacrifice. Even this last one, my daughter was like, "You're the king of no." Like, it's because it's training camp. Like in training camp, we're not doing much, but then outside of training camp, I reward them. You know, so it's like I have to keep this balance of having a good life and having a good career, right? So like I, you know, it was a nice reward to make the money, but I'd rather please my wife in that sense, like give her the kitchen she always wanted. And we bought the house, and like we bought the house and like we were so stressed about it. And like, you know, if redoing the kitchen and all that, it's gonna like make her love the house even more and make us happy. Like, okay, I'm gonna spend the money, you know? So it's like, it makes sense to me, you know, because you have to balance those two worlds. And I feel like some guys, they love money and fame so much that a lot of times they neglect their family, and then they make it to the very top of everything. Then they're divorced, and then they're paying alimony and child support.
You've
Not
lost
that those things are bad,
you've
but
lost
like,
everything.
you've destroyed your life. And you know, 35 and 37 alone at the top is not so bad, but at 65, it's a brutality.
Good point.
You know, family is everything. Like having a
100%.
strong family unit is it's priceless. You know, so it's like very important that you realize that even if like you fight in the cage alone, your family, your friends, your teammates, there's no amount of money you can pay them for the sacrifices they make that you don't see. You know, so it's like the most valuable assets you have in your life it's people. It's not money and it's not things. So, like with the right people, you can achieve like almost pretty much anything.
Would you allow your kids to be in the UFC?
Yeah, if they wanted to, yeah, of course, man. You know, it's so funny.
You have two
Like,
girls,
I have
right?
2 girls. Yeah, so they probably won't want to do it. But
Do they watch?
they watch my fights after.
Oh, they watch
We
your
watch them
fights.
after. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. And
Why after?
because like I don't traumatize them live, because if they watch it live,
So you watch
they
it
don't
with-
know if I'm okay.
You watch it with
So I
them?
watch it with them. So on
Okay,
Sundays
okay.
I come home and we watch it together.
Okay.
Yeah.
And do they? How old are they?
They're 7 now.
How much do they understand? Like,
They send everything now. Now they send everything. But they had never seen me lose. Because when I had lost, they were really young. So they don't remember those times. And then like after my Cheeto fight, we did like a UFC Connected where they did like a deep dive on like me and Faraz's relationship and our story. And they showed my KO losses, my 1 KO loss. And when my daughters were watching that like 15-minute segment about my life, and they saw me lose by a KO, they're like, "Oh, Dad, that felt really bad. Like my heart hurts." I'm like, "Yeah, like I know. Listen, it was pretty hard for me and Mom too, and everybody." And she's like, "When you lost by knockout, I didn't like it, but when you lost by decision, it wasn't so bad. So if you lose next time, please lose like decisions." So yeah,
that's cute, man.
I'll do my best.
that's
I'll do my best.
But man, what happens when you get knocked out? Like I've heard guys like, I just woke up. I was in like the ambulance. I was there. I didn't know what happened. They didn't even know they lost the fight.
Yeah, it's weird
So-
because you lose your short-term memory. So like, let's say for me, like I was telling you guys, like for me, how I remember it was I said one more left hook, and me, I woke up in the ambulance. But when I watched the tape after, you see me, I stand up in the cage, and they talk to me, and I'm talking back to them, and I walk out, and I walk to the back,
no way.
and they have footage, right? They're filming me, and I don't remember any of it. And
But you
then,
were still answering the questions.
yeah, so I
you were-
lost those 15 minutes of like waking up in the cage to getting backstage and into the ambulance. That short-term memory of that 15 minutes, it's gone. Like I don't have it.
Wow.
I don't have it. So that's why like when you see guys get knocked out, and I've cornered guys before that when they get knocked out, they keep asking you what happened over and over, because when you answer them, it didn't register into their long-term memory. So it's like someone with Alzheimer's. Like you just talk to them and they forget immediately. It's still they don't have the capacity, the mental capacity to register the answer. That's kind of what happens. But the good thing about getting knocked out is there's no pain. So like basically your brain shuts off so that you don't feel the pain. So the punches, like me, to be honest, I've only felt pain once in a fight, and it was when my arm broke. So like when you get punched in the face during the fight or knee in the face, there's no pain till the fight's over. Your body,
Adrenaline,
God
huh?
bless us with this cocktail of adrenaline, dopamine, and I don't know what other chemicals your body releases, but it's the greatest drug on earth. You can't feel anything. So that's how I knew my arm broke, because so basically I was fighting Marlon Vera, and he drops me. I go down and I'm like getting up and whatever, and I'm like trying to like gather my thoughts and come back to life in a way. And as he was like trying to hit me and score and whatever, during that 2 minutes where I was trying to come back, he threw a kick and he broke my arm, and I felt pain for like a split second. I'm like, oh shit, my arm must be broken. I had never felt pain blocking a shot before or absorbing a shot. But in less than a second, the pain was gone. And then I thought like my arm wasn't broken. And I didn't want to say anything to Faraz because I was worried if I tell him after round 2 that my arm is broken, the commission hears it and they stop the fight, or my brother stops the fight. So I was just like, say nothing. Then when the fight was over, as soon as they announced that I won, I bent over. I was like, oh, Faraz. I'm like, my arm broke in the second round. He said, what do you mean? I'm like, I think my arm's broken. We go backstage and they always check you like by the doctors in the UFC, which is amazing. And I had never gotten hurt badly enough to need medical attention like that. So the doctors checked me backstage. They're like, yeah, your ulna, the bone in my forearm, broke. And they're like, what do you want to do? I'm like, I'm going for steaks, man. They're like, okay. They're like, get it done in Montreal. They just gave me the thing. So I went out for steaks. I went out with my friends. We had a good time. And then Sunday I went with my arm broken, like in the airplane. Came back Monday, had surgery, man. That was it. They put a plate, 5 screws. It was nice, yeah. But the adrenaline is just like so,
You felt it after, that's for sure.
I felt it after. Sunday was hell. But Saturday night was not too bad. Saturday night I was just still going.
So pumped.
Yeah, I was so pumped,
What is
yeah.
the other question? You're I think we said 37, 38?
I'm 38 now, yeah.
38. What is like the life expectancy of a UFC fighter in the sense like how many more years? Maybe it's
I
the
mean,
wrong-
it's very unique, I find, in a lot of ways. But I feel like UFC fighters, the average, their prime is really between 32 and 35. I feel like that's
Okay.
usually the prime. And there's guys who, they break way before. And I think that's just like mismanagement in terms of like getting to the UFC too soon
Mm.
and not being,
What's too soon?
in terms of well-roundedness, skill-wise, so
Oh,
then
yeah.
you eat too much damage.
Uh,
Like if you look up the stats, I think the average UFC career is 2 or 3 fights. The vast majority of UFC signings are fired
no way, I didn't know.
by after their second or third fight. They're done with UFC. Like I don't know if you know, like in the NFL, the average career is 3 years
Yeah,
because there's this whole thing with
I thought it was a little bit longer
with the
actually.
retirement money. No, so if they make 3 years, they get their retirement for life. But if they cut them before 3 years, they don't get the retirement funds. So they don't get any of that money, right? So a lot of NFL fighters go broke because they think they're going to be making these $50,000 checks every week for a long time, but then they get cut off, right? And a lot of young guys, what's happening is they're doing everything to just get into the UFC.
Yeah. So basically, they get in too early, not
Skill-wise, I'm not talking about age.
age. Yeah,
Age doesn't really matter. I don't
Yeah.
really feel like age is the factor. I feel like skill is the factor, and then the other factor is it's damage.
Mm.
Like
sure.
one of my friends, Rory McDonald, he turned pro at 16. So he was fighting men when he was 16 years old, fighting 20-year-old guys, 22-year-old guys at 16. And then, he retired at 31. And to me, it's young because I'm
Yeah.
38 and I'm still going, but I didn't put my body through
Good point.
the years of hardcore fights that he did. Like he had a lot of wars at the end. Like, and his body took a lot of damage. His nose broken away that unfortunately it's always gonna bother him. Because you don't decide how your nose breaks.
Yeah,
That's the luck of the draw. And it's like one of my other friends, he got both his orbitals broken. He's got 2 metal plates in there. And he can't take the punches like he used to take. It hurts more. It's a totally different type of feeling. Some guys, they tear their ACL, they come back, it's no problem. Some guys, they tear their ACL, they're never the same. So it's like there are X factors too that, they play a role. But I would say it's mostly like mismanaging the career. I'm not judging anybody. I just
Yeah.
feel like it's not being good enough at the very top, like getting into early in terms of skill, not in terms of
Skill.
age. And then when you're there, the way you fight, like MMA is different than boxing in this regard. So let's say, for example, in boxing, I think, one of the most accurate boxers of all time is Floyd Mayweather. And he lands at a 38%. So he's missing the vast majority
Yeah.
of what he throws.
yeah.
He's missing. And like, what does that tell you? Mayweather doesn't suck. It's literally the best. He's one of the most accurate punchers of all time. He's only landing 38%. That's telling you that in boxing, they highly regard defense. Defense is a skill that you will be. It'll be impossible for you to make it at the top without having defense. Whereas in MMA, a lot of guys get hit with 50% of strikes thrown at them. That's it. If that was a boxer,
Yeah.
you're dead. Like you can't make it to the top, 15 fighters in boxing. Impossible. You'd be in a wheelchair. You'd be crippled. But in MMA, a lot of guys, they get hit with 50, like literally 1 out of every 2 strikes thrown they get hit with. And they think that's good. It's not very good. Okay? It's not very good. Very bad number. So, I feel like that's half the equation. Is a lot of guys in MMA, they don't protect themselves. They don't fight like in that sense, So some guys, they get away with it because they're so good at wrestling. It's kind of like baked into their style. Like, like the Dagestanis, they're very good at wrestling, so they don't really hit much. A lot of the guys who absorb the least amount of strikes are wrestlers in MMA, not slick strikers.
Yeah.
The wrestlers, why? Because they're not letting them engage in striking. The guys who engage in striking, a lot of times, if you look at their stats, what's his name? Paddy Pimblett was fighting Justin Gaethje. And before the fight, they put up some stats. And one of the stats, which was like eye-opening for me, was Paddy Pimblett eats 60% of strikes thrown at him. Think about it, 60%. So like more likely than not, you're going to hit him.
Yeah.
You might as well throw.
Yeah.
There's no reason in holding back. Like over 60%, you're gonna land. And if you watch that fight, it's crazy how many times Justin hit him, man.
Yeah.
I couldn't believe it. Like,
Yeah.
listen, I like Paddy. I'm a fan of Paddy's fighting. Like, I think he's great. Scousers don't get knocked out, and he proved his heart and he proved his determination and his devotion. And
That was a good fight.
he's a good grappler. He's a good wrestler. But like, if I was his team, if with all that heart and ability to absorb, imagine he didn't get hit. Imagine you guys worked on his defense and you made him slick and he could hit somebody and not get hit in return. He could be incredible. Like his reign could be huge, Like, so for me, like watching that fight, like I'm not trying to put him down, but like in anything in life, the more truth you can handle about yourself,
Good.
the further you can go, So like some people, they take criticism as an insult, but I just mean it as like, I'm trying to give you this piece that maybe the people around you aren't giving you. And if you can accept this piece, like sky's the limit for him. That's kind of how I see it.
How many fights on average does a UFC fighter fight in a year? Is there a fixed number? Or?
No, there's no way. Look, they have to offer you two.
They have to offer you two.
They have to offer you 2 fights a year. Now, between like getting hurt and people waiting for the right matchups, guys fight once, twice a year, and the amount of shows are they're capped, right? So I think the UFC does 42 shows a year, which is quite a lot.
Not many. I was about to say it's a lot.
Incredible. It's incredible, right?
It's almost like, one a week if you think about it.
So it's almost one a week. So it's 14 fights. So it depends on the. So basically, what they try to do is they try to book 12 to 14 fights for each card, but some fights fall through, right? So they always end up with about 12 or 13 fights. That's 28 guys per card, and they have a roster of like 700 fighters, right?
That many?
Yeah, it's like it's the number is always between 550 and 700. So it's not an exact number, but it's like they're floating, right? So it's between that range and.
Wait, that's how many fighters they have in the UFC?
Yeah.
It almost seems like we only hear like.
You only hear about the best, bro.
Yeah,
you only hear about the best.
20, 30 names that you hear circulating more or less, but I didn't know that was that many.
And some weight classes have more fighters than others. I think let's say for example, I think flyweight there are 25 fighters, and I think my weight class bantamweight I think we're like 70. So right there there's a big difference.
Yeah. Right.
And then then depending on the different weights, and even like for the women's division, depending on the weight, there's more girls and less girls and whatever. So it's like. So it's a bit scattered.
Some of those girl fights too are brutal, man. I've seen those girl.
I mean, they're rough, man. Some of them are rough, man. Some of them are definitely more violent than others, and then some of them are like very wrestling heavy. They're not as entertaining. Same thing with the guys. But the girls, they're more like us in the 90s. It's catching up.
Yeah.
They're not as well rounded as the men. But it's gonna come. Eventually too. Because girls are starting younger now. Like now you have 5-year-old girls who start doing wrestling and jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
From very young age. Before, like almost no girls did jiu-jitsu. Some girls did wrestling from a young age, but not jiu-jitsu. But now you're seeing it more. So in 10 years, you're going to have girls that are good at everything, right? So it's going to come. But the average career in UFC is like 2-3 fights. And then most guys fight once or twice a year. But some guys they fight 4 times a year because they're crowd favorites. The UFC likes them. They're always available. And they always put on a fight. And I feel like the UFC now, the model has changed a little bit. And I find the UFC doesn't care if you win or lose, man. They don't. Now they're at the point where they want you to put on a show, man. You go out there and you give it your best. And
we were talking about that
watch,
sometimes. Like some of the fights, they're just on the ground and they're like wrestling. After a while,
but they're not doing much on the ground. There are some guys when they go on the ground, I love it. I love it, man. And some guys they go on the ground, I can't stand it. It's a brutality, man. Sometimes it's like
you hear the fans boo.
Yeah.
Like, boo.
But sometimes when certain guys go on the ground, they don't boo. Because the guy's working toward. You can see. Like listen, when Khabib took guys down, nobody booed.
Yeah.
You know why? Because he was on his way to finishing them.
Yeah.
Or he was ground and pounding them. He was doing something with it. Some guys they take guys down and they do nothing. They're hanging on for dear life, right? Nobody wants to see that. Same thing with your striking. Some guys they strike in ways where it's like. Nobody wants to watch that striking fight. Even though, it was striking, but it was boring. So I think they like the whole you're trying to win in a way
Yeah.
where you're taking risks. If you
Yeah,
take risks and you
you're right,
lose,
you're taking a
if
risk.
you take a risk and
like
you
you're
lose,
going
they
there
love you.
fighting. You're going to
You're
fight.
going there to fight.
You're not going to fight defensively or just to win. You're
And that's
going
kind
to
of
like,
why I chose Marlon after I beat Aldo, because I was like, I want to fight somebody who's gonna fight.
oh,
And that's kind of another reason why I chose O'Malley, because like with me and O'Malley, we're gonna have a fight. It's gonna be something we're gonna all gonna remember, you know. Because my fight with Aldo, the only reason why people liked it is because he almost killed me, and it was crazy. That's the only reason why I liked it, you know. Like if I would have went out there and I would have made it boring, like I'm not trying to insult this guy because I think he's a really good fighter, but Mario Batista, the way he beat Aldo, people literally hated him after. So when I signed to fight Aldo, me and my brother were like, we're not wrestling. We're gonna go out there and we're gonna fight.
But didn't Aldo not make weight that
Yeah,
night?
he missed weight by 8 pounds. Yeah, it was crazy.
So what?
He
So
was
what
what?
happened? So what
He missed weight
happened?
by a lot. So
8 pounds?
Yeah. So when I was cutting weight, so it was like 1 hour before the weigh-in at 8 o'clock, they called me. They're like, "Oh, Aldo weighs 145." So I stopped, and I was just about to finish making my weight. So my brother's like, "Stop cutting weight," and I'm like, "Okay." He's like, "Get on the scale. Let's see how much you weigh." I was weighing 136.8. Supposed to make 136. So there's like almost an 8-pound gap between us. But in Montreal, there's a special rule that we don't have anywhere else. And it's kind of like hindered me in a little bit. So basically, if it would have happened in Vegas, if I accept the fight and there's a 8-pound difference, I get 30% of Aldo's purse, which is a big purse.
Wow.
Because he's making $1 million plus, more than $1 million, right? He's an 8-time world champion. He had like a 10-year range, so he's gotten many contracts. He's getting paid huge bucks, right? I don't know exactly how much he's making, but I would have found out, bro. And I would have gotten 30% of whatever the hell he was making, you know? But in Montreal, there's a special rule. And if there's more than a 5-pound weight difference, fights off, you can't fight.
Oh, wow.
So fights canceled. So now I had a choice. Either I make up the gap or there's no fight. So I make up the difference. So I start hydrating. Before I didn't weigh in at 136. I just made a video on YouTube to prove to everybody that I was at the weight. Okay, I made the weight. So I started rehydrating. So I got myself up to 142 or 143. So I closed the gap. And he floated a pound. So the UFC didn't allow him to weigh in officially. And in that 1 hour and a half, he went from 145 to 144 or whatever. So we shrunk the gap. And then we had to change the contract from 135 to 145. So now he didn't miss weight.
Okay.
So I don't get his purse.
Ah.
So I'm fighting for the money I was gonna fight for. But then the UFC is like, okay, no, we're gonna pay you more than you were supposed to make. And then they gave me a really nice offer, so I took it. You know, I was really happy. Like I made more money than I should, you know. But it was good. It was nice. But I got glory. The glory was everything. It was worth everything.
That was a
And
great
like the
fight.
fame I got after it was crazy. Like I go out in Montreal, like the Montrealers know about that.
How does
fight,
that feel
you know?
after so many years? I mean,
Yeah.
people knew you, they follow you, but
Yeah,
now it's
not
like
the same.
Not the
It's
same.
Not the
huh?
same. Like now,
How does
it's
it
like
feel
It's
now?
on a different level now. Now it's great, you know. And it's just so funny how people are like, oh, you became famous overnight. I'm like, no, man, it took me 20 years.
20 years. That's the part
It
people
took me
don't
20
see,
years.
yeah.
You know, it's just like there's that quote that says like, before you make it, people are always gonna ask you why are you working so hard, and then when you make it, they tell you how lucky you are.
Yeah,
It's
okay.
like, bro, it took you 20 years, you know? Nothing lucky about it,
Yeah,
in a lot of
nothing
ways.
lucky
Like, I
about
think I'm blessed by God. Like, if God didn't want me to have it, I wouldn't have it.
Yeah.
You know, it's not really just me, but I work like it's just me. But, you know, I believe in God did a lot of it. Like, how I didn't go out with Aldo is I think God sent an angel. Like, for me, it's like a huge miracle. Like, I don't know. The guy kicks people in the leg, they don't get
Yeah.
up. Kick me in the face, soccer kick, like, twice. And I got up, you know? So if it wasn't for God, I wouldn't be where I am. But it's definitely a nice feeling that people finally recognize me in my own city. You know, it was really cool.
But man, the coolest moment I saw of Aiemann Zahabi was that stare down with Marlon.
Cheeto.
I want to
Yeah,
know
that's cool.
like what was going on in your mind. Like,
Yeah, you know, like for me, it was like first I got that was after round 2, so I got dropped. I get up, my arm was broken, and then like I finished round 2 harder than he finished. Like by the end of round 2, he was the one backing up. He was the one against the cage covering and whatever. And I felt like I just dogged him. And me, I'm not an emotional guy in there, and I have a lot of respect for guys who get in the cage. So like when the round ends, usually like I'll just dab them and I'll go to my corner. Like, okay, I'll see you next round, you know?
Yeah.
And he headbutted me, and then we did the stand, and I'm like, in my head, what was going through my head was like, bro, I signed a contract 2 months ago to fight you. You think I'm gonna be intimidated by you?
Yeah.
You dropped me, you broke my arm, and I finished the round stronger than you. You're nothing. You're not like in my head. I was just like, are you insane? You think you can intimidate me? There's no way you can intimidate me, man. Then he's like, like before the fight, so like I have a very strong team, and I'm lucky to have the team I have. And one of my striking coaches, his name is Conrad Pla, and like he's very experienced coach. And when I fought Aldo, when I told him about the fight, he called me right away. He's like, this is exactly how the fight's gonna go. The fight's gonna start hard, it's gonna get harder, and then all of a sudden it's gonna be easy. He's gonna break. Then when I got Aldo, the Cheeto fight, I texted him. He called me. He's like, hey. Like, remember what I told you about Aldo? I'm like, yeah. He's like, it's not gonna happen. He's like, the fight's gonna start hard, it's gonna get harder, and then it'll keep getting harder until the last bell rings. So that's how we kind of made the training. We made the training so my practices never get easier.
Yeah.
Like everything ends harder and harder. Like as I go through practice, it only gets harder till the practice is finished. So when he gave me that headbutt in my head, like I was getting ready for round 3 Cheeto. He's the boogeyman in round 3. So when he did that to me, it kind of like, I just like, oh, I can't wait to see you in round 3 now. I can't wait to show you that I'm more than ready for this. And then I won round 3 clearly. Like nobody gave him round 3. Nobody gave him round 3. I took round 3, so it's like he did that, and I still came out on top with it, So it felt good after, and I'm happy because it's good for the memories. Like the pictures are good about it. Like people talk about it. And like it created a hype. So like I didn't like the disrespect, but I like that it gave us notoriety.
Has a fighter ever like pissed you off? Like someone that you fought, someone that
I didn't like that. I didn't like that at all. Like I found it very disrespectful. Then after the 3rd round, like I still went to go touch gloves with him. He didn't want to touch gloves. I was like, I put my hands up, so whatever. Then I was on my brother's shoulders, and it's cool because like the UFC took this like video. I was on my brother's shoulders and he was on his coach's shoulders, and we're going towards each other. And I went in to give him a hug, and now he's like, he conceded, give me a hug back, right? So as I was going to give him a hug, I told him, thank you. You gave me the greatest moment of my life, because to me, win or lose, like I don't care. Like we just gave the world a sick fight.
Yeah.
The UFC is gonna love me.
Is that
the
how
fans are gonna love us? So I didn't care what the result was.
Yeah.
And my brother, when I was giving Cheeto a hug, he was gonna give the coach like a hug, and he told his coach, guys, no matter what, win or lose, respect. We respect each other, And then when they said I won, they fucking stormed out. They left. They didn't give a shit. They went backstage. He was supposedly, I wasn't there, but supposedly he was flipping tables, and he just left the venue. Like he just left. And like I know he's not mad at me. But there should be like a level of like after the fight, who cares? Like Aldo, man, we almost killed each other. I hugged him. I mean, Pedro Munoz. When I finished Pedro Munoz, because with the last 10 seconds of the last round, he charged at me. I covered, and I threw a strike, and the bell rung, and I hit him with my elbow. It's like a split second after the bell. So I'm like, oh fuck, I'm sorry. He's like, no, brother, don't worry. He's like, I'm Christian, you're Muslim. He's like, we believe in one God. He's like, don't worry about it. I was like, okay, cool, man. Like, like the guy, it's just business. It's just like, it's
not personal.
It's not personal, And even like, I didn't want him to think I was trying to do something dirty, but it was just like in the fire, the bell rung, And I mean, I don't care. Like, I don't. So it was just like, I went from a guy like that to fighting a guy like Marlon. It is what it is. And I don't think Marlon hates me. I just think he was just upset that he lost now 3 in a row. Yeah. That's his 3rd loss in a row. So he's more mad about his situation than he's mad at me. So I try not to. I'm sure if I bump into him, I'm sure it's gonna be all good next time. Mm-hmm. Won't be an issue.
So Aiemann.
Yeah.
Last question.
Yeah, tell me.
What should we look forward to?
Well, hopefully I get a huge name. I'm hoping to be main event. If not main event, let's say co-main event under a title fight. But I want 5 rounds because I feel like it might not be fair. Like, look, if they offer me a title shot, I'm taking it because it's a once in a lifetime opportunity. You don't know how many times you get a shot at the belt. But I feel like I would like to do a 5-round fight to get that experience before I fight for the belt, because title the guys who have the belt have gone 5 rounds before, so they've experienced that, and I have never fought for 5 rounds. I've never fought for a belt before, so I would love to do either a main event or a co-main, but 5 rounds against somebody like Sean O'Malley, Umar, Marab, anybody ahead of me, anybody in the top 5, 1 to 5, I'll fight any single one of them. Corey Sanhagen, any of these guys. Nice. As long as they're ahead of me, I feel like I earned it because I'm on a win streak. If I lose, I have no problem defending my position. But as long as I'm winning, I would like to move up the ladder, you know? So that's what I'm hoping we're looking forward to.
Awesome. Guys, I hope you enjoyed this episode. Aiemann, where can they find you if they want to follow
Guys, find me
you?
on all the social media. It's my name, Aiemann Zahabi. I'm trying to really grow my YouTube channel. I know I'm not super consistent, but it's coming, guys. The series are coming. So if you can help me out, follow me on YouTube, please.
Guys, we'll put the links all in the bottom so they'll go and follow you. Aiemann, thank you so much.
Thank you,
Noah,
guys.
your first
Appreciate
podcast.
My first podcast. I'm so happy.
Oh,
to
you
be
did your
here,
first
guys.
one with me, man. I appreciate it, man. Thank you. Thank
Teaching
you.
him the ropes.
I couldn't miss
for
this.
sure,
You know?
for sure. Thank you, guys. I appreciate it. Thanks for having me on.